welcome to the first of hopefully a few different videos looking at some of the stories from Doctor Who's past and, well, present as well, I guess, that are generally considered either a bit naff or just a bit and we're going to try and talk about whether they are actually very good, whether they are indeed a bit naff, or if they are diabolically awful.
Yes, and I'm here to help.
Yes. This is Billy.
Yeah.
Billy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a Doctor Who fan, and I have sensible hair, and that helps. But I've been a Doctor Who fan since I was about 3 years old. My favourite Doctor is Jon Pertwee. My favourite story is The Curse of Peladon. And yeah, good choice. And it's a pleasure to be here talking to you about the fantastic Jon Pertwee story, Death to the Daleks.
Good story.
It's a good story. So where should we start? Let's start with the beginning. It'd be a quiet place to start.
Yeah.
So the story of Death to the Daleks is that there is a planet called Exelon. The Doctor and Sarah are stranded on it because of something they don't know why. It turns out it's a big palace and it's got a big beacon at the top and it's drawing energy out of ships as they fly by. A bit like Khan in
Morbius. The Doctor and Sarah split up, don't they?
Yeah.
John goes off to try and find life.
Yeah, and he gets attacked by an angry Scotsman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a polystyrene boulder.
Yeah, the angry Scotsman belonging to a crew of Space Marines.
Yeah.
Who were there. There's a great plague that's sweeping across the outer worlds, which actually does remind me a lot of Dalek Empire. If you've heard Dalek Empire, there's a lot of talk about plagues on the outer worlds and trying to, find a cure for that. And then the Daleks come along. That must be where it comes from. I've just made the connection. The Daleks come along in, if you've not listened to Dalek
I know what you're
Empire,
going to say.
They come out and they say, we are the healers, the great healers. That must be because they've found Perineum.
Yeah.
But they got, I don't know, maybe not.
They do the same in Blood of the Daleks, don't
yes,
they?
They do.
Red Rocket Rising.
Yes, and they say they've got people are dying from the plague there. Right. It all stems from Death to the Daleks.
Bloody Daleks. Whenever a plague comes up on an alien planet, you need to know it's Daleks up there.
Yeah, and they're holding you to ransom. Don't try and parley with them. Okay, so you've got Space Marines, and then all of a sudden the ship lands, and they think we've got a release ship to come and help us, and they're going to mine the Perineum, and it's going to cure all these people on the outer planets. Turns out it's Daleks, which is a bit rubbish if you've been stranded on the planet for all those months.
And you've been living on peas and mashed potato.
Yeah, peas and mashed potato.
That seems to be the only food
they eat at all. So, I mean, I don't know how much nutrients you get from a petit pois.
No.
Not
probably not much.
And then you discover that there's this kind of underground war between the Exelons, the subterranean Exelons and the ones living on the surface that look like rocks and brilliant design.
Ones have robes, the other ones sort of roby looking things. The other ones are generally a lot shorter and shiny. Yeah,
Bilal, one of the characters, the Subterraneans, was possibly a contender to join the Third Doctor and Sarah Jane at the end of that story, which would have been a really nice idea. And you had mentioned
D84 and Robots of Death. That'd be great.
He was supposed to go off with them as well, which should have been rather nice.
I can kind of see D84 working more, especially with Tom Baker. I don't quite see... I don't know how far they could have gone with Bilal.
Yeah, because he's a pacifist, really, isn't he? He's a bit wishy-washy. I don't think he would have been...
He's a scaredy cat, isn't he? Just...
Yeah, he wouldn't have jumped into the action as much.
No, D84 was very loyal, and, you thought he... he sacrifices himself at the end of Robot's death. He probably would take a gunshot to the chest and get it repaired.
Whereas Bilal would have been like, oh no, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to wander over there.
I'm going to stand against this wall and no one will
know.
And
I'll blend in, the Daleks just roll past me. That's quite a good defence.
It is, really.
Yeah, just blend into brick walls, it'd be fine in Bristol.
Yeah. The whole point of this big city, or whatever it is, palace, or whatever you want to call it, is that you go in there and there's all these different tests to progress until you get to like the central chamber, which is meant to be the brain, isn't it, of this thing. And so the first, like the foyer, is just there's a maze on the wall. Not particularly difficult, one would imagine. There was 3 of them in there.
Yeah. One of them died standing up. So they're all skeletons now. They've been dead for centuries.
One stood up. Quite interesting. Don't know how that's happened.
No.
The other one died slumped over a chessboard.
Yeah.
Which we neither of us had seen this before.
It was hilarious.
So we came up with lots of different possible scenarios. Why they brought chessboards with them.
I think the answer really is they were supposed to be the sandwiches.
Yeah.
And he just forgot to pack the sandwiches that they were going to have on that long, tortuous, time they were going to have in that chamber, and then decided at the last minute he decided, well, chess had passed the time a bit more. So he died slumped over a chess, and you can see all the pieces
They've been playing it.
They've been playing it, and he's slumped over and he's got all the chess pieces kind of scattered around everywhere, and then there's actually one stood up. I don't know where the other one is actually, because if you look, there's one slumped over the chess.
Yeah, there's no one else sat next.
And there's somebody on the... So he's been having a game of chess with himself, waiting for the guy behind him to finish. Actually, there's no one close to the maze game.
Maybe they didn't even notice it on the wall. Maybe they just
went in there and went, oh
shit,
we're locked in. There's nowhere we can go. Nobody tried putting their hand on the wall to make it glow, so they just stood there going, oh shit, okay, well, I brought the travel scrabble. I brought chess, and we can play that.
Even though it took the Doctor all of about 20 minutes
seconds to just go, I found it, and then he starts it, you have a little cut, and then he's finished it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, you have... Well, one of the things I think has been a bit of a detriment to the new series is not including cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Cliffhangers are a crucial part of Doctor Who, and in this we have a cracking one involving a beautifully designed tiled floor.
I love... Just interrupting before you go on to this.
Okay.
I love how we're meant to be saying how good the story is.
It's a good story.
There we are.
Doesn't matter.
It's a
good story.
Chess man, and there the floor tiles.
Yeah. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you know the cliffhanger we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the terrible cliffhanger in part 3. Yes, it is part 3.
Part 3.
When you've had actually quite a good cliffhanger the part before with the route.
Yeah.
Which is quite good, and a brilliant cliffhanger in part 1.
Daleks come out. They.
Open
guns
fire.
Already, and you think, shit, they've
the Doctor's kind of dead now. They finally killed him, and then obviously not, because you've got another couple of stories to go in the season before Planet the Spiders. But and then
this was in the days when people didn't even know when the Doctor was going to go.
Yeah.
I've heard Mark Gatiss say he never knew Jon Pertwee was leaving at the end of Planet the Spiders.
No, and then it happened, and everybody cried.
It wasn't all big live events then going, who's the new Doctor? Let's talk to some celebrity.
Can you imagine Tom Baker coming out at one of those live shows?
Yeah, and everyone go, who's that?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like that bloke who was in Sinbad.
Hang on, he was working on my tiling the other week.
Yeah. I think how that would have worked better is if they'd shown an element of danger before the actual cliffhanger.
If Bilal had gone... Bilal could have died there, to be honest, but if Bilal had walked across the pattern floor and got zapped, and that was the cliffhanger, just smoking Bilal, that'd be pretty cool.
A bit of concrete dust on the floor. It's like, Christ.
Yeah, and then we got a bit confused at the end because in the story it's very, very lightly touched on that these creatures, the Subterraneans and the Exelons in general, are supposed to be these hyper-intelligent beings that have gone to other planets and kind of... They showed... these are the Mayans in Peru. How to build their massive temples, which the Doctor says, impossible by primitive human feats, and here they are, one of the great wonders of the universe. And it's explained that the Exelons just kind of came along and said, we'll do a bit of building for you. They were intergalactic contractors, and so they built these pyramids. But they don't seem like the kind of race that do that. It's almost like they've de-evolved. If they have been like that at some point in their timeline, it's like they've gone back to a kind of... Because they're just grunting, aren't they?
Bilal sort of says something along the lines of the city that they built as a monument of all their power became so powerful that maybe the chess people they were the people, they just finished building it, and then they're like, shit, the city's locked us in. Well, it was the first video you owned, wasn't it? First
Doctor Who VHS I ever owned was Death of the Daleks,
and it was the first VHS my brother owned. Which is quite funny. He'd seen Sylvester McCoy stuff before then. I think that was actually the first Jon Pertwee story he'd seen. It's the first Dalek story he'd probably seen other than Remembrance. I think
I'd seen Day of the Daleks before on UK Gold. And I think that's why I prefer Death, because going from Day to Death is quite a step up. And it's weird because it's everybody gives Day such a massive rap, and then they kind of forget about Planet. Planet didn't happen, whatever. Death. Genesis of the Daleks. Oh my god! It's the story that precedes Genesis. Which is an incredible feat that it hasn't really been panned as much as I thought it would.
It's just a filler.
It's not got people.
Nothing really happens. It's just tried and tested.
Nation Dalek stuff.
But I think, we've sort of said this. it does follow all the Terry-nation formula.
Yeah.
But it could have been a lot less, really.
Yeah.
But if you think of the script, it could have been run-of-the-mill.
Yes.
What really makes it is the direction from Michael Bryan, and the design really helps it.
Yeah.
You don't really get a lot from the supporting cast other than Bilal.
Yeah.
We said that what's her chops, the lady Jill
Tarrant.
Yeah, well, she doesn't
really do anything. And we were saying also that 2 of the Space Marines, I'd forgotten one of them was still alive. I knew one of them had been gunned down earlier in the story because he'd been arrowed by an Exxon, and then the other guy randomly turns up in like 2 scenes, and twice I was caught off guard by it because I thought, is he still alive? Oh God, okay, fine. And then, but standout, I'd never really noticed his performance before, but it's the guy who plays Galloway. He's brilliant. There's a lovely scene between Galloway and the original commander who's dying, and he says, "You're not fit to command us," and he dies, and in his last breath he says it should go to Peter.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And then he dies, and then Galloway says, "Oh, I didn't quite hear that, Captain," and then he takes command.
Yeah, it's a really nice, quiet, subtle scene.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's sandwiched between them getting captured and that big arrow fight and the Dalek exploding, and then you've got the Doctor and Sarah being sacrificed. So it's a beautiful moment. I think I've never seen it on any kind of lists of nice little quiet Doctor Who moments.
But it was a really good moment. Actually, thinking about that, Galloway probably was the better person in the end, because
Definitely.
I think if Peter had done it, he was such a wet fish throughout the whole thing that I think the Daleks probably would have just killed them all anyway.
And Galloway is the one that ends up.
He redeems himself, doesn't he? To in the end, even though he agrees to let's slaughter all the Exelons in the caverns. That was the original thing, wasn't it? He originally said, let's side with the Exelons to slaughter all the ones in the cavern.
Yes.
And the Daleks get the upper hand. They're like, right, we'll side with the Daleks, and they'll just use slave labour and then kill them all off afterwards.
And then he says that they've got to find the Doctor and Sarah and bring them back to the Daleks dead or alive. But that never actually happens. That's never brought up again.
Them. It's not like This is not like the human part. Well, I guess no one was going to do it, would they?
But the Daleks, presumably, Galloway's presumably not lying about that. The Daleks presumably do say, go and find them and bring them back. So why is it that a Dalek is the first person to go after them when they go into the tunnels, and not Galloway or even Jill?
Yeah.
Maybe they had to introduce Bellal at that point. But at the beginning, I mentioned that this story wasn't even supposed to have the Daleks in it.
Yeah, no, I didn't know this.
And I don't think they're crowbarred in at all. I think they're introduced pretty well.
Yeah.
Because I think the whole gimmick, well not gimmick, but the whole idea that they've lost power in their weapons kind of glosses over the fact, they've suddenly turned up. Yeah. And you don't feel it's very jarring. When they appear, it just kind of feels like, oh my god, the Daleks have turned up. That's a brilliant cliffhanger.
We liked all the action. It was a really action-packed story for what is seen as like a bit of a naff story.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of good action in it. Stuff that you don't see in Genesis.
No. I mean, you don't actually see a lot of action in Genesis.
Genesis has got some, quite brutal violence in terms of like the war scene at that bit at the beginning and people getting shot and stuff, or Daleks killing people.
Yeah.
But there's not like lots of big explosions or like really big action pieces. This one, has a lot of that. Obviously, the first episode begins with Terry Walsh getting shot in the stomach with an arrow and falling in the sea or whatever it is,
and then
bit of water.
Getting killed and falling down that cliff when he gets hit by an arrow, and then falling off that ridge when a Dalek shoots him, and then it's probably him being caught on fire.
Set on fire,
yeah. I think Terry Walsh in that one episode has probably almost died as many times as the Doctor has on screen.
Yeah. Is Terry Walsh a Time Lord? Is he? There we are. That's a fan theory. Work that out.
Can we do a meta story where it turns out that Terry Walsh was actually an alternative Doctor, and he was there to take all the bullets that would have been for the Doctor. Brilliant, sorted.
He's like the Watcher.
Yes, he is Terry Walsh is the Watcher.
Yeah, that's why you never see him after Tom Baker era.
Yeah,
we've worked it out.
My God. It's a conspiracy. Vintage is an interesting word because I think this is a proper vintage Dalek story. It's got a vintage flavour to it. And when you look at the way the Daleks are portrayed in other media, like Big Finish for example, I think they are pretty much these Daleks. Yeah. And I was even saying the grammar and the way that the Daleks speak, the way their lines are written, this seems like this is the story where they nail how the Daleks speak. Before that, even in Planet of the Daleks, it's still almost human in the way they speak.
You get a few lines where you sort of think, it doesn't quite sound like a Dalek speaking.
And in this story, I think they pretty much nail it. It's just a shame that they had Michael Wisher doing the voices, because I think if Roy Skelton had been there, he would have punched through those lines really
good, like when the Daleks are barking orders, you would have got some really good, forceful performances out of Roy Skelton.
Yeah.
I just think Michael Wisher, as wonderful as he was as Davros and, all the other little bit parts he did, it lacks that sort of authority.
I don't think he's that bad in Planet, though.
No,
he's not that bad in Planet of the Daleks, but for some reason it doesn't quite work in this story. It's almost like when you get to the mid-60s and David Graham's kind of coming to the end of his tenure, and you think, okay, we're getting away from the Hartnell sounding Daleks and into like Peter Hawkins, and it sounds much more authentic. Anyway, apart from that, it's a good story. We are really bashing the story, aren't we? Instead of saying it's brilliant.
Well, these are just little nitpicks, aren't they, really?
I mean, you can't. I've always thought that you can't really have a favourite thing and not find fault with it.
Exactly. I've never. I agree. I think anyone who ever says that something is absolutely perfect, especially when it comes to Doctor Who, because I have seen it. I'm not wanting to sound completely biased to new series stuff, but you get it a lot with, especially newer fans.
Yeah.
I think every episode is perfect. Yes. Oh, that was amazing. 10 out of 10. That was amazing. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah. But actually, when you actually sit down and watch something, you've got to think, well, it's not all perfect.
Yeah.
As much as we enjoy this story, we can pick faults
Absolutely.
out of it.
In the first 10 minutes, we noticed that there's an Exelon that gets floored by Sarah in the console room.
Yeah.
And it's never brought up again what happens to that. And it's just that, it's a lapse in kind of logic and it's a lapse in continuity. But in your favourite, you got to find, faults with stuff.
I mean, I love Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got some terrible continuity errors with Tom Baker's hat coming off here and there, and there's lots of different problems, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? Nothing is perfect.
It's a story that I think gets much better the more that you watch it. On a first viewing, it could be a bit like a bit crap.
You do look for good things, and we looked for good stuff.
Yeah. We've listed most of the bad stuff.
We didn't look for. I think we didn't look for good stuff because we enjoyed it. We've always enjoyed it, didn't we? So
exactly. Yeah,
I think we just noticed bad stuff.
Yeah.
Just
the people who watched the story probably watched it once on UK Gold. Maybe had the video, watched it, thought it was a bit crap. But because that was the only Doctor Who video I had, apart from going down to the library and getting Paradise Towers and Dragonfire.
And you don't want to watch Paradise Towers?
No, or Dragonfire.
Or Dragonfire.
I like Paradise Towers. Anyway.
Do you?
Yeah, I like Paradise Towers.
Really?
And hang on, Paradise Towers is the one with Richard Briers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love Paradise Towers.
My God.
Paradise Towers is a great story.
We're doing. Well, no, I don't want to say we're doing Paradise Towers because then that means I have to watch it.
Yeah, and then it would mean that we'd both be arguing about is it good or is it bad. I know for a fact Nicholas Briggs loves Death of the Daleks. It's one of his. He said he's the biggest Death of the Daleks fan of all time.
So that's why you should give us a job, Nicholas Briggs, because we like it too. Although those smaller ideas may not be exploited to their full potential, they're there and it adds to the story.
Yeah.
It gives it a bit more.
The only thing that's bad about it, and I suppose the only reason it gets such a rap, is there's not real payoff for a lot of those things.
No.
That's probably why it's not, because it builds up on all these ideas and doesn't really deliver.
Yeah, and other than the good design of the Exxons and like the good explosions where Daleks are blown up or people are set on fire or things like that. It does have an element of cheapness to it. I think you've got to remember what episode is this into this season? 3,
isn't it?
Yeah, so we're sort of halfway through the season and the money's probably going and they've probably put the money towards other stuff. I think Planet of the Spiders, the money must have gone to that for all the
hovercrafts and stuff. And also they've just spent a huge amount of the location budget on Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So it's
in a funny place.
Yeah. I think it's whenever Doctor Who tries to do exterior locations indoors,
it never really
those
works.
Stories tend to be kind of on the lower side of it. And I don't know where does it come in the viewers poll, the recent 50 years one that Doctor Who magazine did.
This episode?
Yeah, it comes fairly. Yeah,
I've got it in the wardrobe. Yeah. Just for anyone who's interested, this magazine and the views held within about what stories are number one
are bullshit.
Yeah, Death of the Doctor for number one.
Death of the Doctor got number one story of every single story, and then
Blink.
Yeah. I think even Genesis should be probably.
Yeah, I don't think Genesis should be that high.
Genesis definitely in the top 10.
Yeah.
Maybe top 5, but it shouldn't be.
I think we should do a video just about this.
Sorted.
I think we could do a video just talking about the results and saying
Brilliant.
what. Yeah, that's one.
Nonsense. Yeah.
So here we go. Yeah. I've sort of automatically gone down this side.
Yeah, it's it's the inbuilt stigma this story's got that.
Oh, here it is.
Is it? Where is it?
So it is 148. It was 128, so it went down.
It's gone down in people's estimation. That's why we needed to make this video.
Yeah,
so in 50 years' time, when Doctor Who's 100, you guys can all rate this.
That's really good.
It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, so Matt and Billy liked it, so I've got to like it.
Sorted.
Should we just see what it was between?
Yeah.
So Frontios was
Frontios is better.
That's ridiculous.
No, of course it isn't.
And then
that'd be a great video to make. I'm sorry. Is the next Doctor anywhere near Death of the Daleks?
No.
That is bizarre. What's happening to this world?
Whoever voted for that, if you're watching this, you need to shoot yourself.
I wrote into the poll.
Yeah.
And as a joke, I put who did I put as the top writers? I put David Whittaker because I thought fair enough.
Pip and Jane Baker.
I put Pip and Jane Baker as number 3 because I thought it'd be funny, and I sent it in.
What they came.
Should we find out where they came? They're probably not even on the poll, are they?
This video has taken a bit of a curveball.
A detour.
But doesn't matter. Yeah, they weren't even mentioned.
Not even in the top 15.
No.
Not surprised. I don't know what more we can say other than you're all wrong about everything. And you need to go out and you need to buy. Is it in a box set or does it come singularly?
What's Death of the Daleks?
Yeah.
On its own.
It's on its
single
own.
release.
It's a single release. Go to play.com or Amazon or go wherever you want.
Or get it online, because it is out there. And I hate you people who turn around and go, I can't find Doctor Who online.
It's on there.
You can find it. Don't even...
I know a link. Shall I tell them?
Or are we
breaking copyright laws?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say. It's called .com. And every single episode is on there.
Is it streamed or is it torrents or what?
It's streamed.
Streamed.
I'm gonna cut that bit out. I can't tell people that. Okay, so is it time to wrap up and give this a see, now I've said this is in the top 20 or top 15 of my episodes.
Yeah, you're gonna
have to give a really high number. But nothing's perfect. I don't think I could ever give a story a 10 other than
no, I don't think I would never
Curse of Peladon.
Yeah, I need to think of something.
Curse is 10. Yeah, you think of something bad about Curse and I'll give him a number.
Yeah.
I'd give Death. I give it an 8.
Yeah.
I give it an 8. I give Death an 8 because I think it's not trying to be anything other than a Dalek story, but it's still got those elements there if you look for them. And I think that it's got brilliant Dalek action. I think the only thing, honestly, that really lets it down is some of the characterisation of the Space Marines, who don't really matter anyway because they're going to end up dying, and one of them, dies very soon. Quite
surprising that the one that gets shot in episode 2 with the arrow is a very good actor. He's been in lots of Pertwee stories. Why did they not kill the young guy?
The young wet one. It's weird. I thought he was in it for a lot longer.
Just thinking about that, if he'd have survived. He'd have been too much of a contender for
Galloway, but then that would have been a nice little subplot as well because they could have had a fight or whatever.
We could have had a nice fight sequence in the quarry.
Well, I think it'd be nice to learn or see what the people think about it.
Tell us what you think.
And then it'd be nice to see how the scores even out. If you really like Death of the Daleks, good on you, and tell us why. If you don't, and you disagree with any of the points we've made, tell us, because I'd be really interested to know how many people actually don't like the story at all and how many people like it. Were
you surprised that it was as low down as it is?
Very surprised. I mean, I know overall it probably isn't given the best,
I think I think that's another problem, is that people give a bad opinion of stories, and so they automatically think it's going to be bad.
Yeah. But, so, when we come up to the top 20, people who have never watched classic Doctor Who stories, when they see a classic Doctor Who story in this list, they'll go, "I'll buy that on DVD."
Yeah.
You wouldn't end up going, to 148 or whatever number it was, and go, "I'm going to buy the story that's rated all the way down in this third column of the poll." I'm not going to bother doing that.
No.
Maybe this is our calling in life. That we're going to look down the poll and think, what's that story do? Nightmare of Eden?
Where's that to?
190.
What? That's a good story. I like Nightmare of Eden. That's a really clever idea with the Raxo in and the...
I've just seen the one review we need to do.
Nightmare of Eden.
Do you know Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS is apparently better than the Gunfighters. I love the Gunfighters. The Gunfighters is probably in my top 5.
Really?
I love the Gunfighters so much.
Oh my god!
Which is the story that famously you really hated and everybody gave you a lot of flack for it? Was it Daleks in Manhattan?
No, well, I didn't like that. I think it was the crap one with Davros. Stolen Earth.
Let's see where that is, and let's.
I bet it's right at the bloody top over here.
Where is it?
I can't remember what the story. Stolen Earth, isn't it?
Stolen Earth and.
I reckon we're looking over here because.
Oh my god! It is.
You're joking.
Right. Hang on. The name of the Doctor is worse than the Stolen Earth Journey's End.
That's mad. I mean, the name of the Doctor isn't brilliant by any means.
Oh my god.
We shouldn't be looking now because we should be saving this for the
right, okay,
video.
If you want to see the shock one that I've just seen that blows even the Gunfighters out of the water, tune in to the next video because I've seen something that will make your blood run cold or hot depending on how angry you are. Yeah. Because this is terrifying, people. You need to sort your life out. When I reveal this to you, if you haven't got this, some of you may already know what it is.
Yeah.
But my god.
Well, I've got it and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, right, okay.
Cool.
Tune in next time.
I'm excited.
8 and a 7. Brilliant. Death of the Daleks.
Go and watch it.
Fantastic.
And if you want to know, you can get the toys as well.
Yes, there's a lovely Dalek and a lovely...
Yeah, should have got it out.
John. Yes.
It's down right at the bottom.
Right at the bottom there. And he looks very happy. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Tune in next time for the big reveal. Goodbye.